Hi, my name is Caitlin Tesvich, and today I will be presenting the connection between the endocrine and cardiovascular systems. In this presentation, I will discuss how the endocrine and cardiovascular systems function individually and together. We will explore the key functions of each system and how macronutrients and micronutrients can play a vital role in the proper functioning of the system. Let's get started. First up, we have the endocrine system. The endocrine system is made up of glands and organs that release hormones. These hormones impact many different body systems to regulate metabolism, reproduction, growth, mood, stress, sleep. They can even respond to injuries and maintain energy levels. The glands in the endocrine system are the pineal gland, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, and adrenal glands. The pineal gland, found inferior to the corpus callosum in the brain, produces and releases melatonin, which is the hormone regulating the sleep-wake cycle. The pituitary gland, directly inferior to the hypothalamus, makes and releases several hormones. I will give a brief overview of all of the hormones. In the anterior pituitary, there is adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH, which stimulates adrenal glands to produce cortisol. Follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, is responsible for sperm production in males, and it stimulates ovaries to produce estrogen in females. There is growth hormone, luteinizing hormone LH, which is responsible for ovulation in females and testosterone production in males, prolactin, milk production, thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH, which stimulates the thyroid to produce thyroid hormones. In the posterior pituitary, there are two hormones. First is antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, which regulates water and sodium in the body. And then there is oxytocin, which is responsible for uterus contractions in labor. The thyroid gland, which is located in the front of your neck, butterfly-shaped, as you can see in this image, controls metabolism. The thyroid secretes T3, T4, and calcitonin hormones. The parathyroid gland is posterior to the thyroid and releases parathyroid hormone, PTH, which regulates calcium levels in the bloodstream. The adrenal glands sitting on top of the kidneys have many roles, such as blood pressure management, metabolism, and response to stress. Next are the organs of the endocrine system, which are the hypothalamus, pancreas, ovaries and testes, the thymus, and the placenta. The hypothalamus, located in the base of the brain, produces hormones for the pituitary gland to release. The pancreas, in the digestive system, regulates blood sugar by releasing insulin and glucagon. Ovaries in females store and produce eggs and produce estrogen and progesterone hormones. Testes in males make sperm and certain hormones such as testosterone. The thymus is a very small organ in your chest. You can see there labeled in yellow between the lungs. That has immune functions by producing white blood cells. Lastly, the placenta, a temporary organ formed during pregnancy, produces pregnancy hormones and gets the body prepared for labor. There are tissues outside of the endocrine system that also secrete hormones, but they're not traditionally thought of as making up the endocrine system. For example, the digestive system, the stomach and small intestine, release hormones for hunger and suppression of appetite. The kidneys produce erythropoietin for the production of red blood cells. And then the heart can release hormones in response to increased blood pressure. Proper functioning of the endocrine system is vital for optimal health. Nutrition plays a large role in our hormones. So how do macronutrients specifically impact the endocrine system? In terms of lipids, omega-3 and omega-6 polyunsaturated fats are healthy for the sex hormones, particularly testosterone and estrogen. Research shows that consuming these healthy fats can improve hormone function. Food sources of these fats are things like salmon, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and almonds. For patients with a growth hormone deficiency, overconsumption of lipids and carbs can actually further deplete the hormone. Protein can increase growth hormone secretion in those with a deficiency, particularly a focus on the Mediterranean diet. Now, the Mediterranean diet focuses on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, and recommends several servings of fish and seafood a week. Red meat and sweets are more limited in this diet. Lastly, consuming a carbohydrate-rich meal, once digested, will increase glucose levels in the blood, causing the release of insulin. Insulin works to move the glucose from the bloodstream to the cells. For an underactive thyroid, as seen in hypothyroidism, symptoms can be improved by increasing dietary fiber, which slows carbohydrate absorption, regulating metabolism and energy. Now, micronutrients are also vital for our endocrine system. First, vitamin C can help with adrenal fatigue by lowering stress and anxiety related to the stress hormones. Vitamin D can be supplemented for low testosterone because it contributes to testosterone synthesis. In hyperthyroidism, which is an overactive thyroid, it typically generates free radicals, so taking vitamins A, C, or E, which are antioxidants, can help mitigate those effects. Next, selenium regulates thyroid function by synthesizing thyroid hormones. Thiamine is needed for insulin secretion, and magnesium citrate at bedtime can help you sleep by working to synthesize melatonin. Let's move on to the cardiovascular system now. The cardiovascular system is made up of the heart and blood vessels. The purpose of this system is to bring oxygen and other nutrients to all parts of the body and also works in waste removal. The key parts of the cardiovascular system are the heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries. The heart, located slightly left of the center of the chest, pumps blood. Arteries carry oxygenated blood away from the heart into the rest of the body. Veins bring deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Lastly, the capillaries connect the arteries and the veins and work to pass oxygen, waste, and nutrients in and out of cells. In this diagram to the right, you can see how that circulation works. Since the heart is the main organ in the cardiovascular system, it is important to understand the transportation of blood through it. The blood moves through the heart as follows. First, deoxygenated blood enters the right atrium of the heart through the vena cava. The tricuspid valve opens to move the blood from the right atrium to the right ventricle. The tricuspid valve closes and the pulmonary valve opens. Blood leaves the right ventricle and flows through the pulmonary artery where it gains oxygen. The now oxygenated blood goes through the lungs and returns to the left atrium of the heart by the pulmonary vein. The bicuspid valve moves the blood from the left atrium to the left ventricle. The bicuspid valve closes and the aortic valve opens. Lastly, blood enters the aortic valve and goes to the aorta where it is circulated throughout the body. And you can see here in this image, following the arrows is what I just explained, and it will walk you through the circulation. How do macronutrients impact the cardiovascular system? Diets high in fat, especially saturated fatty acids, can increase the risk for cardiovascular disease. These are typically found in animal products such as dairy, like milk, cheese, or butter, and meats like bacon, sausage, or red meats. However, monounsaturated fatty acids such as olive oil, avocado oil, or nuts are good for the heart. Plant protein also may reduce cardiovascular disease risk. These are foods such as nuts, grains, legumes. Additionally, poultry and fish can positively impact heart health as protein is very beneficial for the heart. In terms of carbohydrates, refined carbs, which spike blood sugar, are associated with inflammation and vascular dysfunction. It is better to eat slow digesting carbs such as brown rice, whole grain pasta, or rolled oats for slower glucose absorption. Let's now discuss the impact of micronutrients on the cardiovascular system. Vitamin D, which is converted to calcitriol, regulates sarcomere function and contraction of heart muscles. Calcium can help regulate blood pressure and lower the risk of cardiovascular disease. Zinc also functions in regulating blood pressure. A selenium deficiency can deteriorate cardiomyocytes, which are cardiac muscle cells, and lead to damage and cardiovascular disease. Connecting the endocrine and cardiovascular systems. So the biggest relation between these two systems is that the endocrine system transports its hormones through the cardiovascular system. Hormones are released directly into the bloodstream by glands and carried throughout the body by the cardiovascular system to reach its target organ, tissue, or cell. In addition, there are many hormones that affect the cardiovascular system. Excessive growth hormone can damage the structure and function of cardiac muscle. Hyperthyroidism increases heart rate, cardiac output, and blood volume. Calcium, which is regulated by the parathyroid, works directly in contraction and relaxation of the heart. Cortisol from the adrenals works in blood pressure regulation. In a fight or flight response, epinephrine increases the heart rate so that more blood can be moved to the muscles that are needed to react to whatever is happening. And norepinephrine increases blood pressure. In conclusion, the cardiovascular system isn't just the transportation network for the hormones of the endocrine system. These systems work together to regulate body processes and keep things functioning smoothly. Diet, vitamins, and minerals are incredibly important for hormone health and heart health, so it is necessary to maintain a healthy and diversified diet to ensure you get the nutrients you need to have your endocrine and cardiovascular systems functioning optimally. Consuming the vitamins A, C, and E provide antioxidant properties. Vitamin D helps with steroid hormone function. Magnesium is useful for sleep, and zinc can manage blood pressure. In terms of diet, eating whole grains helps regulate blood glucose levels, avoiding those inflammatory spikes in blood sugar. Add healthy fats to meals as they are heart healthy, and choose protein sources such as fish, poultry, legumes, nuts, and seeds. This concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for listening, and the next two slides contain all of my references.